Hi, my name is Chris Morosco. I'm Director of Marketing at Palo Alto Networks, and today we're going to talk about a pretty broad subject, and that is securing users and the devices that they're using, and securing the applications that they're connecting to and the data that resides within them. And so one of the challenges of doing that is the kind of reality of applications today and what applications look like as the way that they're deployed. They're deployed in a variety of ways, and so if we look at data centers, for example, they could be deployed on-prem, they could be at a co-location, so there's a variety of deployment types. Public clouds could be a variety of public clouds that are being used simultaneously. Often there is a combination of public clouds that are being used. SaaS could be purchased by the company as a sanctioned SaaS application, or it could be things that employees just went and purchased on their own. And then just the general internet, which is not owned by the company, not managed by the company, but something that employees use to do their job. And so this has grown over time kind of organically because each one provides a benefit to the organization and often to the employees themselves. And so they all have value, they all have benefit. And because of that, what we see is that most organizations have a mix of all four of these. And so they're challenged to secure these and make them available to the employees, but do so in a way that doesn't cause any compliance or any threat challenges. And if we look at the other side of this, let's look at the users and how the users are actually using these services, how they're connecting, where they're coming from. That's also evolved over time. So typically it could be that they were in a location, in a headquarters, and they were connecting from there. Sometimes they would leave. Often the case nowadays is that most employees are mobile. And so they could be at a branch office, but they could just as likely be at a coffee shop, at an airport, at home, somewhere else that's not in the network itself. And to even compound that challenge even more is that the device that they're using can completely vary as well. They could be using the corporate device and it could be connecting back to the headquarters, but they could also be using a mobile device that is of their own use. They could be using their personal computer at home. They could likely be using their phone to access the data and the applications that reside within these different cloud environments to be able to do their job. And so that represents a significant challenge to allow all these different users in these different locations with these different means of accessing this data to be able to access all these different cloud applications and be able to do their job and get to the data that they need within these. And so how does that get accomplished? And so the challenge is because this is organically grown over time, what's happened is that as each one of these new capabilities have come about, they've offered those benefits, but they've had new security risks, and so new solutions have come out to solve them. And so what we have now is a multi-overlay complexity where multiple different solutions have kind of come about over time to be able to solve each individual problem, but they've added a lot of complexity in deployment and usage, and some insecurity in the actual security capability they're offering. And oftentimes we'll get to the point where just no security is used at all. And I'll give you a few examples. One of them is users trying to get to the internet. And so allowing users to get to the internet, secure web gateways came about to be able to provide that proxy connection to be able to look for web traffic and inspect it. And the challenge of these is that, one, they're built for web traffic. So because they're built for web traffic, they only look at particular traffic that's going out. They don't look at anything coming back. The other challenge is they require agents to go on the devices to be able to work. And since they were developed for the internet and not necessarily for public cloud or data centers, to be able to have the users go back to those locations, you need connectors and shims to be able to allow the access, which adds a lot of complexity. So you have to modify the network, you have to modify the endpoints, and then you have to modify the applications to be able to allow access. CASB has come about for SaaS. Now, it's solving a very important use case, which is securing the access of SaaS applications and securing the SaaS applications themselves. So very useful product, very useful technology, but it's again another overlay on top of the existing overlays that existed already. So again, an additional agent, so these devices would need another agent on top of the agents that already existed. And so that's a challenge. More proxy configurations need to be applied when there's already technologies that's probably there to be able to solve that inline connection capability. And so there's a lot of complexity added on top of the existing technologies that are already deployed. And then third is VPN access. So being able to get these users to get to the headquarters, to get to the branch office, to get to the data center applications. Often there's a VPN connection, which is again another agent. So now we're at 3 agents at this point to be able to connect these users in. There may be MPLS connections that are being used. So there's a variety of additional layers that are being added on top that are adding a lot of complexity in the way this gets deployed. Now, we feel that this is the wrong way because this has happened over time. It happened legitimately for problems that existed that were new risks. But now that we've gotten to this state where this is the norm for applications, this is the norm for users, we need to rethink how we do security and how this gets deployed. And it needs to be done in one single layer without additional agents, connectors, any of those things. It needs to be holistic so it solves all of these problems together, not piecemeal. So that's where we come in. We have developed a cloud-based service which inspects all traffic for all the users, regardless of where they're coming from, what device they're using, and it works with all the different application deployment types. First piece to solve this is getting those users to the cloud service itself so we can do the inspection. So here we have the connectivity layer. And this connectivity layer gets the traffic from these different locations, from these users, no matter where they're coming from, no matter what device they're using, in a variety of ways. Because we're not partial to how they connect. What we want is to get the traffic to the cloud so it can be inspected. So it could be through SD-WAN partnership where an SD-WAN vendor is forwarding traffic to us. It could be through a VPN. It could be through an agent. It could be through a clientless connection. It could be through a reverse proxy connection. Doesn't matter to us. We want to just get the traffic to us so that we can do inspection on it. Once we have that traffic on that globally available cloud-based service, then we want to do security services on top. And this is where the security services layer comes in. This is where we do inspection of the traffic that's coming into the cloud service before it gets to all these different cloud environments. This is where we look at what the actual users are trying to connect to. We look at whether they have access to that service. We look at how they should be able to use that service so we can control the usage of that service. We look at whether there's threats being exchanged. It could be outbound, it could be inbound threats coming from the cloud service itself. We also use things like DLP and machine learning to look at the cloud services themselves to see if there's any potential threats, any data loss that could be happening within that environment as well, to make sure that those cloud environments are protected. This works completely without additional overlays, agents, and works with all locations, all users, all cloud applications. And so it is a completely seamless solution for these users so they don't see any disruption of business or usage. They won't even know that it's happening. It's something that the admin manages. And so that's a quick overview on our perspective on users, applications, and how to secure them. For more information and a deeper dive into the individual use cases, you can go watch the other light boards, which actually go through more detail on each use case. And of course, for more information, you can go to paloaltonetworks.com. Thanks.